Hi everybody, I've got a really good story for you today. This one is about, can you guess? A kangaroo. This one's called Katy No Pocket. So let's think a little bit about what do kangaroos have right here on their bellies. They usually have a pocket for the little baby to ride in. So I think this must be Katy, and Katy doesn't have a pocket. So let's see what this story is going to be about. Katy No Pocket. Big tears rolled down Katy Kangaroo's brown face. Poor Katy was crying because she didn't have a pocket like other mother kangaroos. Freddie was Katy Kangaroo's little boy, and he needed a pocket to ride in. All grown-up kangaroos take awfully big hops, and little kangaroos like Freddie get left far behind unless their mothers have nice pockets to carry them in. And poor Katy didn't have any pocket at all. What are they gonna do? How's she gonna carry her baby? Katy Kangaroo cried just thinking about it, and Freddie cried too. Then all of a sudden, Katy had a wonderful idea. It was so wonderful she jumped 6 feet up in the air. The idea was this. Other animal mothers had children and they didn't have any pockets. She'd go and ask one of them how they carried their babies. So who's she gonna go talk to first? Looks like an alligator or a crocodile. Freddie looked all around to see whom to ask, and Katy looked all around to see too. And what they both saw were 2 bubbles rising up from the river right beside them. "Mrs. Crocodile," said Katy, feeling lots better already. "She hasn't any pocket. Let's go ask her." A lot of big, muddy bubbles came up through the water, and then Mrs. Crocodile stuck her head up and opened her enormous mouth and smiled. "Why, Katy Kangaroo, what can I do for you today?" "Please, Mrs. Crocodile, I am so sad," said Katy. "I have no pocket, and Freddie has to walk wherever we go. And he gets so tired. Oh dear, oh dear." And she started to cry again. The crocodile began to cry too, and then she said, But what can I do?" "You can tell me how to carry Freddie," said Katy. "How do you carry little Catherine Crocodile?" "Oh, do please tell me." "Why, I carry her on my back, of course," said Mrs. Crocodile. She was so surprised that anyone shouldn't know that she forgot to cry anymore. So that's how a crocodile carries their baby. On my back, of course. Katy was pleased. She said, "Thank you." And as soon as she got to a good squatting down place, she squatted down and said, "Now, Freddie, climb up on my back. After this, it will be so simple, no trouble at all." But it wasn't simple. In the first place, Freddie could not crawl up onto her back because his knees stuck out. He couldn't hang on because his front legs were too short. And then when he did manage to hang on for a few minutes, and Katy gave a long hop, he fell off, bump, bang, with a terrific thump. So Katy saw that she couldn't carry her baby on her back. All right, so that way's not gonna work. Let's see, who are they gonna ask next? Katy and Freddie sat down again and thought and thought. "I know, I'll ask Mrs. Monkey. I'm sure she can help me." So Katy and Freddie set off for the forest, and very soon they found Mrs. Monkey. She had her young son, Jocko, with her, and Katy Kangaroo hurried so to catch up with them that she was almost out of breath. But finally, she managed to squeak, "Please, Mrs. Monkey, how do you carry Jocko?" "Why, in my arms, of course," said Mrs. Monkey. How else would any sensible animal carry anything? And she whisked away through the trees. "Oh dear," said Katy, and a great big tear ran across her long nose. "I can't carry anything in these short little arms. Oh dear." She wasn't any help at all. "What are we going to do?" And she just sat down and cried even harder than ever. So Katy thinks her arms are too little to carry Freddie in her arms. Poor Freddie, he hated to see his mother cry, so he put his paw to his head and he thought and thought and thought. "What about the lion?" he asked when Katy stopped crying a little. "They don't carry their children. The poor things walk just the way you do," said Katy. There's birds," said Freddie. "How do they carry their babies?" "Birds," said Katy. "The mother birds push their children out of the nest and they squawk and shriek and flap their wings about it." So it doesn't seem like either of those ways is going to work. Because Freddie gets too tired when he walks. And he doesn't have any wings, so he can't fly. What are they going to do? Then, all at once, Katy Kangaroo stopped crying and looked at Freddie. "They do say that the owl knows almost everything," she said slowly. "Well, then, for goodness sake, let's ask him," said Freddie. They found the owl asleep in an old dead tree. And he was cross because he didn't want to be waked up in the middle of the day. But when he saw that Katy was so sad, he came out blinking and ruffling his feathers and said in a scratchy voice, "Well, well, what is it? Speak up and speak loudly. I'm deaf as a post." So Katy stood under the tree and screamed at him, "I'm a mother kangaroo, and I haven't a pocket to carry my child. How shall I carry him? What shall I do?" "Get a pocket," said the owl, and went to sleep again. "Where?" cried Katy. "Oh, please don't go to sleep before you tell me where." "How should I know?" said the owl. "They sell that sort of thing in the city, I believe. Now kindly go away and let me sleep." "The city," Katy said, and looked at Freddie with big round eyes. "Of course we'll go to the city." Do you see a lot of kangaroos in the city usually? That's gonna seem kind of funny. Let's see what happens. Katy was so excited that she almost left Freddie behind as she went leaping over bushes and hopping along the path, singing in a sort of hummy way a little song she had just made up. "Hippity, hoppity, flippity, floppity, wasn't it a pity? I didn't know it was to the city I should go." She hopped so fast that Freddie could hardly keep up, but at last they left the woods behind and came to the city, where there were stores and houses and automobiles. The people all stared and stared at Katy, but she didn't notice it. Why do you think the people stared at Katy? Because kangaroos don't go in the city. That's silly. She was looking for pockets, and she saw that almost everybody had them. And then all at once she saw, she could hardly believe it, a man who seemed to be all pockets. He was simply covered with pockets. Big pockets, little pockets, medium-sized pockets. Katy went up to him and laid a paw on his arm. He was a little frightened, but Katy looked at him with her soft brown eyes and said, "Please, dear kind man, where did you get all those pockets?" "These pockets?" he said. "You want to know where I got all these pockets? Why, they just came with the apron, of course." "You mean you can really get something to put on with all those pockets already in it?" asked Katy. Sure you can, said the man. I keep my hammer and nails and tools in my pocket, but I can get another apron, so I'll give you mine. How nice is that man? And let's see, if he's carrying all kinds of tools and hammers, what do you think his job is? He must work in construction, or maybe he fixes things. He's a handyman. And dumped it upside down. Out fell a saw, wrench, nails, a hammer, a drill, and lots of other tools. Then the man shook the apron hard and turned it right side up again and hung it around Katy's neck and tied it behind her back. Katy was so pleased and excited and happy that she couldn't speak. She just stood still and looked down at the pockets and smiled and smiled and smiled. By this time, a big crowd had gathered to see what Katy Kangaroo was doing. When they saw how pleased she was, they all smiled too. Look how happy that man made her. At last, Katy was able to say thank you to the nice, kind man, and then what do you think she did? She popped Freddie right into a very comfortable pocket, and she hippity-hopped home faster than ever before because, of course, she didn't have to wait for Freddie. There they are. And when she got home, what do you think she did? Well, she had so many pockets that she put Freddie into the biggest one of all. Then into the next largest, she put little leopard lion. Thomas tortoise just fitted right into another pocket. Sometimes she had a baby bird if its mother was busy at a worm hunt, and there was still room for a monkey, a skunk, a rabbit, a raccoon, a lizard, a squirrel, a possum, a turtle, a frog, and a snail. She's picking up all the baby animals. So now all the animals like Katy's pocket better than any other pockets in the whole forest. And Katy Kangaroo is very happy because now she has more pockets than any mother kangaroo in the world. Look how happy she is. The end. So let's see, who knew what to do the whole time? The wise owl. He got it right. And Katy got her pocket, and Freddie didn't have to walk anymore. So there it is. Such a good story. Katy No Pocket. All right, I'll be back with another story. Bye, everybody.